So today we've got a leaking tap, so I'm going to change these valves. These are quarter ton ceramic cartridges that are in here, and one of them is leaking, but I cannot tell which one it is, so I want to just replace them both. Usually if one's on the way out, you may as well do them both, so that's what I'm going to do today. But there's no markings on this tap whatsoever, and I do not have any paperwork for it, so it's basically I need to take this tap apart, find that valve, and then try and replace it. So the most difficult bit about changing these cartridge valves is actually finding the right cartridge for your tap. There's so many different types, and they're all just a millimetre of a difference, so there's very little difference between them when you're measuring, so it makes it really hard to find the exact one for your tap. But for me, I'm just going to take this apart, and I'm going to take you with me so you can see the problems that I've come across, and hopefully it will help you if you want to change your cartridge. The only time you really need to change these is if it's got if it's dripping. So usually they last for years. They don't last forever, but they do last quite a long time, and I like the quarter ton for the full flow, rather than the old fashioned ones where you have to screw them up, screw them in, although the old ones are much easier to fix than these, but there's a price to pay, I suppose. But we'll get into this and try and get this fixed. So first thing is I'm going to take this apart. So I think I'm going to start with the hot one, and we'll see how we go on from there. If you want to find out which tap's leaking, if you've got isolators, you can switch off one side or the other, and that way you can find out which side's actually leaking. For this, what I'm going to do is just replace them both. So I'm going to take them apart, get the valves out, and then we'll take it from there. So first thing you want to do, actually before you do anything, is switch off the water. Now you either have isolators under the sink. Most taps should have an isolator under the sink now. So check for isolators under the sink. So we'll just go under this sink. Like most sinks, it's a riot under here, so you can probably see the cold one is there. You can see the pipes going to the machines. They're usually fed from the cold, and the hot one in this sink is pretty good because there's a wee hot tap on the hot one right there. So it's sort of self-explanatory, so I'm just going to go in. This is a bit tricky trying to do it through the camera, but so straight up and down is on, and if you turn it across the way, it should be off. These are pretty stiff. Wow, not been turned for a long time. So across the way, straight across, it should be off. So that's that one. The cold one is in the back there. Okay, let's get the cold one. Yeah. Oh, not quite straight across, but feels like it's shut up. That's tight. Okay. You can see it's almost straight across. It's not completely straight across. So what you want to do is just check it's really stiff. If it's the same problem and your valves are really stiff underneath, you might just want to check that it's off. So switch both the taps on. Nothing coming out. You're safe to go. These taps, with this actually it comes like that. So before you start, and the reason I'm saying this because I just noticed, is put your plug in, make sure the plug is in, because if you drop any of this stuff and it goes down the plug hole, that's a whole different job to get that out. So and that looks like a small Allen key. There's nothing else on this tap holding it, so it's just that's a wee Allen key in there. So I've got my wee trusty set. So you can use just an ordinary Allen key for this, but I'm using this one, a ratchet here. That's it. Now I think this actually just it's a wee pointy bit there, so that's what holds it on to the actual cartridge, I think. There we go. That came off pretty easily. Then a minute. So then here we have, there's a wee crosshead screwdriver in there. Need a crosshead, so I'll put this on here. It looks like a Phillips. It looks like a P2. I'm just going to unscrew that. Now, we need a Phillips to unscrew this. So that's just a wee screw that holding on that. Just holding this on. This wee bit here, which just provides somewhere to latch that into, and it sits inside there. There's teeth in there as well. So there's teeth inside, and this sits inside that. There's a wee screw on top. That's cool. Now, this looks a wee bit weird. So you can see it sort of, there's a nut right there, see it? So I'll get my adjustable wrench onto that. My trusty adjustable wrench. Now it's going to be spinning that way to get it off. I always need to remind myself. It just gets in there, no more. That seemed really easy. Okay, this isn't the valve. The feel of it. This feels like something else, I think. Yeah. Okay, this is just like a wee cover. And that's the valve right in there, right inside. So, see if that one's working. That seems to be it. 17 mil, but it comes right in. I'm just going to have to use it. I'm just going to have to use it, just gripping slightly because these aren't deep enough really. So, try not to smash the sink. So that's good. It's quite stiff actually. Hopefully this is a valve coming out now. That is the water from the tap. I can hear it getting sucked in there. There is the valve. Okay, so this is the old valve. You can see that how it works. Is it closed, open? Right. Now the thing about these is they only work one way, so you need to get the correct way for the side. So there's a hot and a cold one. You need to make sure you get the right valve for whatever side you're using. So here's the problem. That I'm finding it very difficult to get an exact match. Now usually this is a wee bit shorter, that's a wee bit shorter, or it's really difficult to get this one. I don't know why. It's just got strange measurements, and anywhere I do find it, they don't happen to be in stock. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to, I counted how many splines there is up there. See this? There's a number of splines that help to keep this, help to keep that on. So what I did was measure the number. And basically just mark a line on it and then count from the line all the way round to reach the line again. And this one has 20 on it, which is quite common. So what I've done is I went and bought, where are they? I bought these from Screwfix, which are about £6 for the pair, so they're pretty cheap. So these have the 20 splines on the top as well, and it's roughly about the same size. They are different, you'll be able to see when I get that out. These are marked up as well, hot and cold, so you can tell when it's open like that, that will let the water through. When it's closed, that's it closed, so you can tell if it's closed, open. So it's that is the right side for that one, and yep, this one definitely works for that one, because both of them rotate the other way from each other, so that both the levers come down when you switch the taps on. So that's what you want. So you want one turning one way, one turning the other way to open. They are quite similar to the ones, to the originals. That actual body there is the same size as here. The only difference is this is just a little bit shorter, but I'm pretty sure that when I put this on and then we put this, the outer bit of the tap on, that it will actually reach and it will actually work. But the main thing is this body here that goes in to the body of the tap and actually seals. So this goes against, there should be a hole. Yeah, there's a hole right in the tap, and this should seal round it, and it forces all the water in here. So that you're actually getting water going into your tap. Okay, so I'm going to try these and see if they work. If not, then it'll be a quick swap over with the old ones and try and find the old ones. But really, to do this properly, you really want the ones that come out your tap. If you've got the tap manufacturer, you'll find out, no problem. In fact, usually the tap manufacturer will send you them out. But I don't have any details about this at all. No idea about this tap. Who made that tap? It's been long lost. So the tap's probably about a good 10-15 years old. So because those parts are the same size, it should actually work. These have got a very long spindle on them, but then they've got a cover on them like that, so that should help hold it in or something. It really makes no sense what that's for, because this will be enough to hold that in under pressure. You wouldn't really need this secondary, but anyway, I think this will work, but I'm going to experiment and see. We'll see. Basically, I'm just going to put this on and that. Yeah, certainly tightening up. And then we shall tighten this up. Tighten. So I'm just feeling this, I'm not actually cranking it right up, that's it now, it's getting a bit tight. You don't really want to put this in full blast. You want it to be a fair bit of resistance, but you're not pure forcing that in. You can just rip the threads right off these or burst the seal. That's solid, But equally you don't want it loose, because you can then work that loose when you're switching it off and on. So yeah, it's a fine line, but you can feel it once it's tight. You know, that's good enough. Especially if you're using a tool like this, which is pretty major. It's more for like taking engines apart than fixing taps, but it's like, it will do the job. So once you put that in, right, we're going to see if this works. So this did come with this, so it should fit over. It does, nice and easy. And I wonder if I can use the old screw, which is probably not. So I'll use a new screw that came with these ones. Because we're a bit shorter, that screw head should fit in the body, this part, whatever this bit's called. It's not the body of the tap, but it's like the handle. So I'm going to just screw that on so that doesn't move. There is a 5mm difference, which is pretty big. If you look at that, I'll put one of the new ones next to it. There is actually quite a difference there, but as I say, this part of the body where it's reaching in is exactly the same size, so I'm quite confident that will seal, but I was worried about this not quite reaching. So I'm going to put that on. So again, you want to make sure that you're make sure that the hole is completely upright, and that's it. So it's a quarter turn, so it should be 90 degrees there. So make sure the hole is where you want it to be, and I'm going to then put this wee thing that should hold it. This is where we find out if it's going to actually work. So I'm going to just tighten this up. Yep, seems to be going right into that. So I need a wee bit of space there, just so otherwise it will rub. And you can't turn the tap on and off. So okay, that's good. I'm going to quickly do the other side now, and we'll see if we come into any problems different from that. I think it should be okay. And then I'm going to give it a test before I put it fully back together again. Right. It's not quite as loose. Little screw on. Right, I can actually test this at that, which I think I'm going to do. I'm going to test these for water tightness. So let's give it a test. So I'm going to quickly go under again, switch the water on. So these should be both off. Just before I complete this, just in case there's any problems, like it doesn't actually work. So far so good. Let's them both on. So this is a good sign, there's no water coming at the tap, there's nothing happening that shouldn't be. So now all I need to do is put this back together again. So basically, making sure the hole is facing the top. So you've got some splines there. Okay. Make sure that's on that. Get this small grub screw. That's a huge grub screw actually, but just put that on, tighten it up. And it's reaching fine, so that 5mm actually doesn't make any difference to this tap. Put on the handles now. These are a bit of a pain in the neck because they sort of come loose all the time, but tap does what it's supposed to, and hopefully not leaking anymore. So that's it, both at the same level. Gap looks about the same both sides, so I think that's us. I think it's done. What I checked was that I had 20 splines there so that it fits on the fittings that you've got in the tap. If you've got not enough splines, or I think there's like 18 and there's more than 20 and stuff, so there's I think it's at 22, something like that. And what happens is if you get the wrong number of splines, your tap heads won't fit back onto the valves. So that's pretty crucial. For these ones, there is a bit of room in that tap, so I bought valves that were 5mm shorter, which is substantial in a tap, but it was enough. It was enough to actually grip, so there's absolutely no difference. And those valves were about £6 out of Screwfix for the pair. I'll put a link for the ones I've used. Obviously, every tap's different. Every tap you need to make sure that you've got the right ones. Make sure you've got the right valves for the tap. I'll just put in those ones because I cannot get these ones anywhere. They just do not seem to have them. As always, I'll put links below for all the tools that I've used in this job and for the valves themselves, and I'll also put some useful links to valves on eBay, because eBay has a huge selection and the sellers put on a lot of detail on those listings, so it's a very good place to start if you want to look for the correct valve for your tap. And if you can't get the correct valve for your tap, then like myself, then you just need to take a risk and see if you can get one that will actually work with your tap. But as I say, the important thing is the number of splines on that top part and the depth of the body. But those two things are crucial. If they're out, they're not going to fit on your tap at all. But if you get ones the same size and the same number of splines, you're in with a shout. So hopefully this is useful. Keep your eyes out for more.